Alright, today is May 28, 2026. It is 4 o'clock, 3:59 a.m. This is video number 2. Video number 1 on this channel. I talk too much. I didn't do a lot of tweets, but I talked too much in it. So I ended up 30 minutes with very few tweets. Alright, so this is the first tweet. Blaming Andrew for the deep unpopularity of the monarchy among Gen Z is deliberately misleading. The truth is that worshipping somebody because of a random accident of birth simply makes no sense to Gen Z. And they've been letting people know. The institution, okay, this is where I start with my ranting. The institution know this is wrong, but they have their agenda. They are laser focused. They are laser focused on their objective, the way that they want things to go. Even though it's wrong, they do not care. That's the problem. The mindset is laser focused. They just think of, for instance, a population or something, I don't know, you running through a forest, okay, you will walk around trees or whatever. These people, they see the light at the end, but there's a lot of things in between, okay. You have to go in between them. They don't care. They just look at the light and they just run through it. There's trees, there's rock, there's mountain, there's this. They go straight to it. They don't care. All right, people are letting them know this is wrong. They do not care. Instead, what they do, whatever is popular in the moment, they manufacture their version. They create their version. They structure their version of what, let's say, Gen Z is doing naturally. Okay, for them, this is Gen Z is having fun, whatever Gen Z is doing naturally. Alright, they look at it, it's popular, so they look at it and they recreate it in their own version, and they say, okay, this is what you like, this is our version of it. And you could see they are acting. They can even move freely, properly, to say, for you to see this is natural. That thing that I have said after Heavy's book came out, where Heavy had said something in terms of order, where here's the part in Heavy's book.
Travel the world from top to bottom. Literally. I'd hopscotched the continents. I'd met hundreds of thousands of people. I'd crossed paths with a ludicrously large cross-section of the planet's 7 billion residents. For 32 years, I'd watched a conveyor belt of faces pass by, and only a handful ever made me look twice. This woman stopped the conveyor belt. This woman smashed the conveyor belt to bits. I'd never seen anyone so beautiful. Why should beauty feel like a punch in the throat? Does it have something to do with our innate human longing for order? Isn't that what scientists say? And artists? That beauty is symmetry, and therefore represents a relief from the chaos? Certainly my life to that point had been chaotic. I can't deny hungering for order, can't deny seeking a bit of beauty. Reading it out, I realized I didn't want to die. I wanted to live. A fairly staggering revelation for me just then. But this woman's beauty, and my response to it, wasn't based merely on symmetry. There was an energy about her, a wild joy and playfulness. There was something in the way she smiled, the way she interacted with Violet, the way she gazed into the camera. Confident, free. She believed life was one grand adventure. I could see that. What a privilege it would be, I thought, to join her on that journey. I got all of that from her face.
There's a video I did on PYTE, where I discuss it about orders, architecture. I went on, and that's a different one. This is the same thing with these people. If they do not know when, how, where you're moving, they are not satisfied. They need to know everything. Everything needs to be structured, clocked in. At this time, this is where you're gonna go. This is that. When you're moving freely, it bothers them. It bothers them. So for them, they have their objective. They're gonna go through it no matter what. They don't care how you feel, anything, nothing. They don't care about anything but their own. So that's a huge problem. Okay, and then they're destroying anything that gets in between. Look what's happening in the Middle East, for instance. They go into it, people shut their mouth. Regular people, Gen Z, or letting people know this is wrong. They do not care. So many lives have lost this past in my lifetime. Look what happened in the Middle East. But anyway, let's continue. Let's start all over. Blaming Andrew for the deep unpopularity of the monarchy among Gen Z is deliberately misleading. The truth is that worshipping somebody because of a random accident of birth simply makes no sense to Gen Z, and it will make even less sense to Gen Z Alpha. Oh, is that the next term they're gonna use? Okay, it will make even less sense to Gen Z Alpha, who are still too young to participate in public polling. In short, well, remember what I have said, it takes 10 years to ruin or change a generation. This is what's happening right now. Okay, we almost at 10 years now, 4 more years since that nonsense. They've been recrafting the way things is moving, and it's very scary because the mindset that they're trying to change, there's some young people who's leading that way. That is very scary. This is something I have been saying since I started doing recording. It takes 10 years to ruin a generation. And right now, let's say if we start in 2020, we are in 2026. All right, we're already past the halfway. And I'm seeing the change already. People, young kids who I thought would have understand, nope, they go into with the MAGA mindset. So we need to be very careful. In short, the monarchy is on its way. It's on its way out because it's an archaic institution that has no place in the modern world. They're giving them those false promises of things as if anybody could have the same kind of thing that the rich and powerful, let's say the 1%ers, could get. Meanwhile, they're removing resources from them. Job is difficult to get, and all of that. As a matter of fact, I have a video, it's further down, but I might put it since I'm mentioning it, where DEI was removed, and the people who are benefiting from DEI is not what you think. I didn't do the study, but I came across that video. I'll put it next after I finish with some of the comments under here. Alright, Prince William's biggest challenge as king, convincing Gen Z to not topple him. Young people struggling through a housing crisis are unlikely to sympathize with royal complaint. That was, wow, May 26, 2 days ago. They will eventually fall. The inequality of it all, the reality that this state-funded institution is an increasingly poor ROI, the blatant, baseless targeting and abuse of Meghan because of racism and not being a mute woman. I like that. It's one of the what do you call this, reporters in the UK, presenters, was saying that. There it is here.
One of the reasons Catherine is so popular amongst certain demographics, and I'm going to say older people and men, is because she says absolutely nothing. Yeah. She's a good little girl who keeps quiet and doesn't complain, doesn't do anything, doesn't rock the boat, and is a very traditional, old-fashioned mute woman.
That woman. Mute woman. The blatant, baseless targeting and abusing of Meghan because of racism and not being a mute woman. The targeting and abuse of Diana, Gen Z, plus many, many others. The sinking ship. I also think women and girls today aspire to more than just marrying a guy. They want to be successful and accomplished in their own right. It's outdated and regressive to praise a woman solely for being a man's pretty wife. They don't admire nepotism and see right through the inauthentic PR. Monarchy is a live show of inequality and immoral entitlement, so wrong and obviously to all generations. Worshipping someone because of accident of birth never made sense. Tackle him. Alright, so let me go look for that video that I was talking about regarding the DEI. Let me pause and search it. Alright, so this is the, oh, what happened? Oh my god, it's 5 minutes plus. Okay, I didn't know it was that long. There's no comment. Alright, so it backfired. There's the laugh here. So now that white men actually have to get into Ivy Leagues on merit, their rates are declining. I also read that more women are getting in than white men. Alright, so I didn't do that study. I do not know how true it is, because this is something that I don't know how. It was recently the DEI started happening, so I don't know how much I could go by it. What I meant to say is, I don't remember when, well, at the time of the recording, so I wasn't really thinking straight. What I meant was when the Supreme Court removed the diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI altogether. So I wasn't sure when, but later on in the video you're gonna see it. I think it was 2023 or something. Alright, 3 years ago. That's what I meant, okay? But let's listen. I didn't listen to all of it, but part of it.
Republican white men had been railing against affirmative action in college admissions for decades. So a few years ago, when it went away, they were pretty excited about it.
Affirmative action is deeply unfair on every level. Doesn't matter what race you are talking about. If one race is able to get into college with scores that are 200 points below another race, that is obviously racist and it's obviously discrimination under the Equal Protection Clause. That's exactly what was happening when it came to Harvard University as well as the University of North Carolina. Both of those particular colleges were the ones who were named in this lawsuit.
On June 29th, 2023, the United States Supreme Court struck down a...
See, that's what I was saying. Well, they have at least 3 years to do that, whatever they come out with the study here. But it's part 1, so I didn't come across part 2. But anyway, let's continue.
Affirmative action in college admissions. And if you were anywhere near right-wing media that day, you would have thought that white men won the Super Bowl. What made me think about this was a video that came across my FYP a few days ago.
So something I think most people are aware of is that a lot of colleges and universities have been moving away from diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI policies, particularly when it comes to admissions. But what's surprising about this, and what a lot of people didn't realize, is that the outcome of this has been that in a number of elite schools, the number of white men admitted to the universities has actually gone down. And someone asked me how that could be, and I was like, well, so if you're assuming that white men are being excluded because of DEI, then of course you would assume the numbers would go up. But that wasn't actually what was happening. What was actually happening is that because universities were looking at people holistically, they were taking into account factors like if someone grew up in a rural area, and still in the United States, in many places, the majority of rural people are white, or if they were from a religious minority, or if they were LGBTQ, or they were disabled, or all these kinds of things, those would also be part of, you know, kind of how they saw this whole person. Now that they aren't, we're getting this other problem, which is the more major kind of thing that we're seeing in education, which is that white men underperform. So they are less likely to graduate high school, they're less likely to enroll in college, and they're less likely to graduate college. They also tend to score worse on certain types of standardized tests, particularly around reading and language. And so all of that is...
You know what that remind me? Not too long ago, I came across a video. I was sharing it with you. It's completely out of the things that I usually share it with you. This woman who was talking about, where did she went? I don't know, to a bar, and this guy was talking to her, and she said a certain word, and the guy didn't understand what she was talking about. So that aligns, that video that I put randomly out of nowhere in one of my videos, it aligns with what this lady is saying right now. Okay, let me push it back.
which is the more major kind of thing that we're seeing in education, which is that white men underperform. So they are less likely to graduate high school, they're less likely to enroll in college, and they're less likely to graduate college. They also tend to score worse on certain types of standardized tests, particularly around reading and language. And so all of that is adding up to that, in fact, by removing DEI policies, they're not increasing the number of white men getting into certain colleges, they're actually decreasing it.
We were told by conservatives that affirmative action is discriminatory. White students, namely men, have been loudly declaring for decades that they were being unfairly excluded from elite institutions because of affirmative action. So now that the playing field is supposedly level, white men should be winning, right? Right? Except 2024 was the first year that a full freshman class had been admitted under the ban. So researchers...
I didn't listen to everything. That's why I was like, how will they get enough study? Then I realized it's been a while since that DEI was removed, and she just mentioning it. All right, 2024, I think she said. So they have enough, at least 2 years now, of studying based on that level playing field. All right. I'm moving back slightly again.
From elite institutions because of affirmative action. So now that the playing field is supposedly level, white men should be winning, right? Right? Except 2024 was the first year that a full freshman class had been admitted under the ban. So researchers analyzed federal enrollment data from 71 elite private colleges and universities. They counted exactly how many additional white male students walked through the doors after affirmative action ended. 72. Yep.
Wow.
72 white men total across 71 schools.
Wow.
So the group that spent 30 years insisting that they were the real victims of discriminatory admissions, they gained about 1 seat per school.
What's going on? What's happening? What are you telling me?
Yeah, what is going on? Something's not adding up. And I
see, the thing is that they put in their mind like everything's. I think in that decision, some part of it had to do with, those wealthy parents who want their kids to go to those Ivy League school, to say, oh, I went to Harvard or I went to Princeton, those top colleges. All right, you know what makes those top colleges? Because smart people went in there and they held integrity. So these wannabe, they have the money, but they're not working hard towards that high level of education. They just want to go through it and say, this is where I went. Similar to what happened to the what do you call this? Those college admission scheme that happened. A lot of wealthy people were paying people to take those exams for their kids. They scammed the system pretty much to have their kids go into those top colleges. I think that was the main goal for removing DEI. And in the process, some Asian student got bought into it, and now some of them, I think, they're not getting in as well. All right, so the level playing field is being level. In my humble opinion, people could correct me on this. I think what they were trying to do, okay, is to have diversity. Okay, so when you go in the workforce, you have at least experience of dealing with different type of people, different group. You have a group of Asian, Spanish, blacks, and this and that. I think this is, in my humble opinion, I truly believe this was the process, the reason why they made that. So when you go in the workforce and the workplace, you have experience with different group of people. As you can see, not only did they remove it and it didn't work, people who work their butt off, have different jobs, multiple jobs to pay for their school, they probably don't want to getting in because they're busting their butt to get that education. So now that they see this, it was never the goal for these people, is that separation that they're going by. Okay, you see the Trump administration is doing it. Is that separation that they want to happen. Only them can be whatever nonsense that's going on in their head. All right, so let's get back to the original recording. I don't know, it's hard, but let's listen to her.
wanted to talk about it. Let's start with what affirmative action in college admissions actually is, or was. The first major Supreme Court case on this was Regents of the University of California versus Bakke in 1978. This case struck down a quota. From the beginning, they were saying quotas. No, we're not doing that. The UC Davis Medical School had reserved 16 of 100 seats explicitly for minority applicants. And the court said, no way, unconstitutional. You can't carve out seats by race. Cool. But Justice Lewis Powell, writing for a fractured court, said universities could still consider race as one factor among many in a holistic review, specifically to achieve the educational benefits of a diverse student body. That distinction, quota bad, holistic consideration good, that's what affirmative action is, or was. For the next 25 years, universities considered race as one among many factors in a holistic review of applicants. Then in 2003, the Supreme Court revisited the question in two cases out of the University of Michigan. In Gratz v. Bollinger, the court struck down the undergraduate admission system, which automatically awarded 20 points to minority applicants. Too mechanical, too close to a quota. But in Grutter v. Bollinger, the law school case, the court upheld a genuinely holistic, individualized policy where race was one element of a full review. Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard and the University of North Carolina was decided June 29, 2023 in a 6-3 vote. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote the majority opinion. His holding, Harvard and UNC's programs violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. His reasons, their diversity goals were not sufficiently coherent to survive strict scrutiny. The racial categories they used were too broad, and crucially, neither school could articulate a measurable end point.
Oh my God, I would love to hear more of this. Okay, so I had this further down the list, but since
white men had...
Since I was talking about whatever I brought up earlier, I decided to put this. So let's go to the next tweet. There's no comment, they block it. If I come across part 2, I'll be more than happy to add it to whatever videos that I'm doing. Alright, next tweet. Remember with that, when was this happening where rich white celebrities were paying schools to get their kids into top schools or something like that? And I think that's also motivate the Supreme Court, those racists, to go after that kind of thing. But hey, this is what happened. Alright, next tweet. Different topic now. Well, about Harry and Meghan and the leftovers. William and Kate fans seems to use AI for two very specific purposes. One, creating fake love up photos of William and Kate to maintain the fantasy. That's what I'm saying. They create the manufactured thing. Two, editing Meghan's photos to make her look ugly. God protect her. Both are honestly quite the state of affair. A fandom running on delusion and Photoshop fumes. Sometimes you gotta feel sorry for the poor starved souls. Meanwhile, one thing nobody has ever needed AI for is proving Harry and Meghan's are madly in love. Alright, so that's a screenshot from People magazine. That was yesterday, May 27. King Charles, former butler, backtracks after posting suspected AI photo of Kate Middleton and Prince Williams. Former member of the royal household said that he genuinely mistook the picture to be genuine. I spoke about it in one of the videos I did yesterday. I don't know. What I think that former butler did, they probably told him to do it. And he went and do it. Alright, another thing is, it's obvious the pics are fake. The former butler is a liar. The real purpose of the media calling out the fake pic is to push the propaganda that he was fooled because he's been William and Kate in similar poses. What's suspected about it? It's clearly AI. I guess they're still playing around with AI, forcing, they throw it out there hoping people will get it, will buy it or something. But with the squad, they have the eye for it. And remember, many of the squads are professionals. Professionals in terms of they have skills. So many squaddies have skills in different aspects. So there are some who probably into those type of things, Photoshop, AI kind of thing. The moment that they see the thing, they could call it out. I'm not one of those people who knows about AI thing, okay? I actually need to train myself for it. Okay, even when they get caught, they still gaslight in their explanation, right? One would think Kate et al. Will have learned to stay away from any photo manipulation after that Photoshop debacle. Oh, so that's why they brought it up. But then again, when you have that entire media system in your back pocket, gaslighting the peasant is fun, I guess. They also edit Harry's speak to make him look unhappy or bored. That is true too. I don't know. They have time to. Again, I'm going back to what I've said. They laser focus to their objective. They don't care. They just want that thing to stick. They don't care how they got it, but they're going to do it. Alright, next tweet. She can barely speak English, let alone Italian. KP staff forgot to brief him on his particular lie. I answered to this somewhere. I'll go over it. This is kind of funny. Prince William had no idea his wife of 15 years speaks conversational Italian. So there's some of the response. There's the laugh here. When she was trying to explain Bob the Builder to those education professionals, it took her forever to just spit it out. LOL. People are laughing. Zandy clutches pearls, rolling on the floor, laughing. So well said. People are laughing. Where's my comment? I think I responded to that. I got told off by the Rangers over Kitty Italian conversational. What they didn't expect. In return, my bluntly reply in Italian. Anyone would think they should know each other affair. 15 years supposedly married. After she returned from this ego trip, Kepi released some photos. All of them, the one above might have been included, were just a research cat. Just her smiling like above. Yeah, if she was speaking Italian, they will be boasting it all over the internet. They lie all the time. Kath is fluent and mumbling in several languages. She speaks as many languages as Melania. Okay, there's one I responded to. Where is my response? Okay, so there it is. Oh, I thought I said something. Maybe it's something else. They probably. Okay. Alright, so Prince William had no idea his wife of 15 years speaks conventional Italian. This one says here, that's probably because she doesn't, and there's me laughing. Okay, I thought that was something else I responded to, that I typed something. My God, I don't get why KP allowed these two to speak. They always tell on themselves. There's the laugh here. I don't know. Well, it's one of those things, when you're thinking about it, it sounds well in your head, until you put it out and it come across the Sussex squad and the Sussex squad explain it for you, and that's when everything go haywire. They're like, oh, that was a bad idea. Alright, so I came across this. I don't know why the squad are talking about it, about the chair thing. So, hey, it come under my timeline. I thought I'd bring it, share it with you. Okay, Prince Peggy. This one is a minute. There's several videos here.
William, there was rumours at the time that he was known for a recreational activity that would shock a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, we have to talk about this. Yeah. But we can't talk about this. Yeah. How do we do it? We've come up with a concept that we know that the audience will get without saying it. Then we got one of our lovely airline chairs, and for some reason one of the armrests was sticking up and we forgot to put it down. We also then started practicing copy around letting William know we saved him the seat. We were able to strip it back to the point where it could have been in any sort of William, but we knew that the timing of it and when it went out, the audience would know exactly what would happen. Went out, completely exploded. We got a call from the palace telling us to take it down, or we want a public apology.
Okay, I don't think the palace will have gotten it, because it come across the Sussex squad. Again, the Sussex squad are freaking brilliant. The moment it came across the Sussex squad, they got it and explained it. They talk about it. Okay, and then that's when the palace got it and then contacted them. That's what I think happened.
And at this stage, we got what we needed for it. Got loads of reach. People were taking screenshots and sharing it. We know we're not going to apologise for it because there's nothing there that connects the dots to what they're inferring. We could have been talking about Josie and William's 40th anniversary, which we were. Yeah. By the way, I know this is being recorded, so we were.
Oh, he continued. Let me go back. Let's go. let me make it bigger. I was trying to say.
There was a call from Kensington Palace.
Prince of Pagan might have been the funniest
my
hashtag to
God.
ever trend on Twitter. One of the funniest tweets I've ever seen was the Ryanair share tweet that they came out with. Where did that come from and where did it end up going?
We were so good at what we did that we had this trend spotting process. So we did our checks that day and this came true. I told the guys, let's think of something. What do we have? I said, well, what is pegging? So this is again, Google it, I'm not explaining it. We knew we couldn't talk about it. So we went, okay, well,
That pegging thing was being spoken about a very long time, for a while, on X, okay? Again, all of this can be documented in some of my old videos. Just go back around that time, I don't know, maybe not even two, maybe 3 years ago, if not 4.
chairs downstairs in reception from an old plane. Why don't we put one of those armrests sticking up and let's think of a simple line of copy that could go well with, William, we saved you a seat. And why is that important? Because that could have been a case where if they did come, we go, well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Frances, who called us 3 weeks ago to surprise her husband, William, for their 40 wedding anniversary. And they asked us to put a post out to tell them we saved you a seat for your anniversary. And you didn't have to force or tell the joke either because it was existing on the internet anyway and it was going to appear.
That's what I'm saying.
People would have got it. So we put it out, it completely just popped off. 10, 12 million impressions later, got a call from the PR team. Kensington Palace have called us and said, you need to take down the tweet. And I said, did you speak to legal? She said, I have. And what did they say? They said, you smart bastard, that they can't fucking touch us. But what they asked for was 3 things. An official apology from Michael O'Leary, which was never going to fucking happen. A statement explaining why we stand by the statement we made, or delete the tweet. And at this stage, we were like, well, we've got what we need out of it. People have probably screenshot it galore and it's living in the internet.
That's right.
Let's delete it.
And you know what? They take on like an extra layer of infamy. Once you've been asked to take something down, and it just amplifies everything. That's
exactly what happened. Because people had receipts, they had the screenshots, they just started doing it more and more and more again. So we took it down. Kensington Palace called back and said, thank you very much, and left it at that.
Yeah, a lot of people still have it.
So back in July year 2022, the palace called...
Oh yeah, 2022. I was like 2 or 3 years ago. So back in 2022. All right, let's go back.
So back in July year 2022, the palace called Ryanair to get this tweet removed. But I'm confused. Why did they get it removed? I don't get it. William, we saved you a seat. There's 3 seats. I'm gonna look at my iPad.
The problem with the palace, they probably on a line too long. The squad talk about anything of everything. I've shared so many crazy stuff with you. Harry and Meghan are not out. Guess what? The squad are still talking. They bring different topics, and if they really want to focus on Harry and Meghan, they bring some old pictures and talk about it. If the palace was not online, just minding their business and do the people's service for what they're getting the taxpayers' money from, they will not be bothered by this, because the squad were talking nonsense. And then this company capitalized on it, and like he was saying, they talked to their lawyers, their legal team, and the pegging thing was already being discussed for probably months end. Okay, so they capitalized on it, and then the palace got involved, and then it made this thing even go further than what it was supposed to be. If they could just mind their own business, this will not be, that like what, 4 years later or 3 years later, we're still talking about it. Otherwise, this would have died down a long time ago. So that's the thing. They are online too much to see. It's good and bad to see what is the trend that is happening. But these are little petty stuff. This is what I mean. They worry about little petty stuff, and it getting them more in trouble. Dealing with Gen Zs and some adults as well. Let's continue.
When y'all figure it out, because I'm not saying it. Listen, whatever people enjoy, more power to you. We don't shame people. I will say this. Listen, everything has been going bonkers this past week. But listen, you know, people expect you to condemn stuff. But did the palace condemn these tweets? Did they condemn the tweet from the UK journalist to compare Prince Harry and Meghan's son, Prince Archie, to a chimp? When Lilibet was born, a journalist in the UK said they missed an opportunity to call their daughter Georgina Flordina. People in the comments miss me with the comments. People are going too far, because if they couldn't condemn those things, why the hell am I trying to condemn this?
That's a very good point. Very good point. All right. William, the Prince of...
My little brother is a knight in Canada.
Oh my God.
My sister is a den leader in Girl Scouts. My uncle's is second in line to be manager at Gart Brothers. Yeah.
And now the scraping off of the pudding. Isn't she beautiful? Scraping off the pudding with the grace of a butterfly. She rubs the pudding on her face. The prince now attempting to remove one of the princess's arms, as is, of course, the tradition. The princess screaming with pain, everyone watching with anticipation, and the arm is off. Things are back to normal here in Canada. Time-honored traditions are once again... Yes, the princess is sticking the princess's arm up his ass. Really making a good go of it.
Oh
what a wonderful
God.
day for Canada, and therefore, of course.
She put her face next to it to block it, okay?
Well.
My little brother is a knight.
Yeah, but the palace getting involved make the thing even worse, alright? So, that's it. There's no comment. Let's go to the next tweet. Oh, they blocked the comment. Alright, so there's more, eh? Bob the Builder. My God.
It is a great privilege to be with all of you today.
You know, we ask for forgiveness and please come back.